Alton Towers is one of the busiest parks in the whole of Europe and can sometimes see queues of up to 4 hours during summer. So today I'm going to be giving you 10 tips to beat the queues and have a great visit to Alton Towers. Okay, so let's get straight into tip number 1 right here. And I'd say this is quite honestly the most important one right here, and that's just to visit the park during the off-season. Now, I understand this may be hard if you obviously have work, if you're in school, stuff like that. It's very difficult to actually visit the park during the off-season. But if you're able to avoid months like late June, July, and of course August, or just half terms, then please do. You'll have a much better day. And if you do have to visit during these holidays, make sure to check crowd calendar, which I'll link down below, and you can see which days are going to be the busiest and quietest. And then for tip number 2, well, make sure to arrive to the park quite early. If you are arriving before the rides open, so around 9:30 a.m, let's say, always head to the very back of the park in Dark Forest or Forbidden Valley if you'd like. And make sure to avoid rides like Wicker Man, Smiler, and 𝗙𝗿𝗺𝗲𝗁, seeing as they're going to get really busy in the morning. Although something to keep in mind, a lot of rides won't actually open at park opening at 10 a.m, so make sure to check on the app if you haven't already downloaded it. It's really helpful, and that will typically show you if the rides are planned to be open any later than usual. And then for tip number 3 right here, if you're actually able to, stay on site at Alton Towers. I understand that it is a little bit cheaper to stay off site, somewhere nearby in a nearby hotel, something like that. But if you are able to, if you're able to afford it, I know it's very expensive, then do stay on the on-site hotel. And that's because you can enter straight into Forbidden Valley through the hotel guest entrance instead of walking all the way around to the main entrance, which is a 15-20 minute walk in itself. And if you aren't able to stay in an on-site hotel, that's completely fair enough. They are very, very expensive. But what I do recommend is just get to the park before 10 a.m. The actual park opens at 9 a.m. So try to get in early, get to the rides that you want to go on, and start queuing straight away, And now for my 4th tip right here, make sure to avoid very high throughput rides such as 𝗙𝗿𝗃𝗀𝗃, 𝗑𝗏𝗏𝗃, and Gangster Granny on some days, as these rides will very, very rarely get a high queue. The only one that might get a bit of a queue is Gangster Granny. 𝗃𝗃𝗃 normally doesn't get a higher queue than about 30 minutes, neither does Gangster Granny, and 𝗑𝗏𝗏𝗃 barely above 5 minutes. It's mostly a walk on, even on really busy days. So what I would recommend is to avoid these rides early in the day when, they're going to have quite a small queue anyway. And make sure to jump on them while other attractions have much bigger queues. Oblivion also normally has some fairly short queues depending on how many trains it's running, so that's also a good ride to jump on. And now for my 5th tip right here, which is especially useful if you're visiting the park by yourself or in a small group. If you do not mind getting split up from the rest of your group, or you just visit the park by yourself, make the most of the single rider queues. They're there for a reason. As of recording this, you can find this on Smiler, 13, and 𝗙𝗿𝗺𝗁, which all normally have pretty short queues, especially 13, as it's quite well hidden and not many people even know it's there. Although always make sure to actually check the length of these queues when you actually get in them to make sure that they're not going to be longer than the standby queues, as these queues move a lot more slowly and can sometimes have an even higher queue time than just the normal queue. And now for tip number 6 right here. If a ride is closed down nearby you and you actually want to jump on that roller coaster, make sure to stick around for, just a little bit to see if it will reopen. Obviously, you don't want to be there for the entire day just waiting for it to reopen because it could take hours and hours. But if you actually manage to get on that ride just as it reopens, that queue time will be incredibly low. And sometimes rides will go down for literally 4 or 5 minutes. Everyone will leave the queue and suddenly it's a 5-minute queue. And then next, let's get straight on to tip number 7, which is to try and eat food as much as possible in queue lines or outside of typical lunch hours. And whilst, the park doesn't get quite as empty as it used to during these lunch hours, seeing as a lot less people are actually sitting down in restaurants and just taking their own food or getting quick service, it's still a really good way to kind of beat the queues while the park's just a little bit more empty. And now for tip number 8, which is especially useful if you're visiting the park on some bad weather, let's say. Now, if the weather is forecasted to be either very, very strong winds or just really rainy at a certain part of the day, I really do advise you to actually jump on Smiler, 13, and 𝗙𝗿𝗺𝗁 while you can before that bad weather comes. That's because Smiler and 13 can often see closures or reduce capacity during rain or just really, really strong winds, seeing as both rides aren't great with it. And also 𝗙𝗿𝗺𝗁 normally has a reduced capacity of only 3 people per train compared to 4 people per train during the rain. And then now we're on to tip 9 right here, which although this isn't going to apply for everyone, I think it's still really sound advice that I just want to give to people who are planning to purchase some, fast passes. Now, first off, I would recommend don't buy fast passes. It's honestly better just to stay in the hotel. It's probably cheaper, and go on a second day if you can. But if you are going to buy some fast passes, do not buy the unlimited ones unless you're just filthy rich and want to throw away money. Just get the one-time fast passes for rides like Smiler or Wicker Man especially. These 2 rides normally get the highest queues. They're really hard to get on, especially if you want to be in the standby queue. So forget fast passes for other rides, except for maybe Nemesis Reborn if the park is really that busy. You're not really going to need them. Just get them for those 2 rides, and other than that, you should be fine. And now for the final tip right here, I just want to give you a bit of an idea of where you should go around the park, a bit of a route to follow, which is hopefully guaranteed to give you a pretty good good day at the park where you'll get around on every single thing, even if the park is super busy. This is all assuming that all of these rides will be open, the weather is good, you get there at the park, let's say 9 to 9:30. But if not, you can still kind of learn some lessons from this. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is go straight to the Dark Forest at the back left of the park and ride Rita and 13. Unless you're a hotel guest, obviously go to Forbidden Valley, ride those first if they're open. Whilst you're in the Dark Forest, you can also jump on Hex if it's got a really short queue, although as I said earlier, you can leave that one to later, really. And there's also David Walliams World, as well as Cloud Cuckoo cars if you've got younger children. But then from there, I recommend going straight to Forbidden Valley and riding 𝗙𝗃𝗃, Nemesis Reborn, and Nemesis Subterra. And of course, if the Sky Ride is open, because, you know, it's not the most reliable thing, it is highly encouraged you just take this, because it'll save you a bunch of time. Even if you're scared of heights, just do it. Trust me. And whatever you do, don't walk through the gardens. You will die. Just walk like past Hex down there and do the cut through. Don't walk through the gardens. Trust me. Anyways, after riding Nemesis Reborn and 𝗙𝗃𝗃, it's recommended that you then go to 𝗙𝗹𝗹𝗁𝗃 Manor, or at least just walk past it and go to 𝗙𝗃𝗃 Canyon. Here you can ride Runaway Mine Train and Congo River Rapids if it's, you know, warm enough. And then from there, head towards Wickerman, although skip it unless it's on a really short queue, let's say 20 to 30 minutes, and head straight to Spinball Wizard, which should have a bit of a shorter queue by now. And after a quick ride on Spinball Wizard, head up to X Sector and of course ride Oblivion and the Smiler. If the Smiler's on under 30 minutes, I absolutely recommend jumping on it. Although if not, just head over to Oblivion, jump on that first, go to Smiler after. Hopefully it'll have a bit of a shorter queue then, and if not, leave it until later in the day, I guess. If you haven't already, whilst you're up at the top of the park, why not go give Hex a ride? It's a great ride. Go ride it. And then from there, if for some reason you want to go on Battle Galleons, I guess if it's a really warm day, go jump on Battle Galleons. But trust me, you'll be very wet getting off of it. And now, hopefully, it's sort of midday-ish, where Wickerman will hopefully be on a much shorter queue. I would very much recommend going on Wickerman sometime between 11 and 3 p.m. Do not go on Wickerman during the end of the day or the start of the day, because it will be incredibly busy, seeing as it's at the entrance of the park, so this is definitely the best time to strike and jump on it. And then from there, you've pretty much hit every single major coaster at Alton Towers, so just jump around, go on any other rides that you haven't been on yet, re-ride some rides if you'd like, and then before leaving the park, head over to Forbidden Valley, go ride Nemesis a couple more times if you're able to, if it's got a short queue. And then what you can do is actually exit through the hotel entrance. Even if you're not staying in the hotel, you can still exit straight through there. And then it's a much quicker walk back to your car, and also, you know, just way easier. Especially because towards the end of the day, a lot of people don't know this. They'll head over to Wickerman, Spinball, you know, those sort of rides, and head out the entrance. And then although that's your day done at Alton Towers, just a little bit of a bonus tip right here. If you are looking for food throughout the day, here's a couple recommendations on where to go in different areas. So for X Sector, the best place to go is Just Chicken. In Mutiny Bay / Katanga Canyon, I'd recommend going to the Little Burger Kitchen or Eastern Express. If you're over by Forbidden Valley, I'd recommend going to Generator Refueling Company. And then finally in the Dark Forest, head over to Eastern Express, get some food there. But yeah, those are my 10 tips on how to have a much better day at Alton Towers. I hope it goes well for you. I hope you have a great day at Alton Towers. I know a lot of things can go wrong, but fingers crossed, everything will go right and you'll have a great day at the park. If you've got any other tips yourself that I haven't mentioned in this video, please do comment them down below so, you know, other people can be helped by them. And well, with that said, please do leave a like and subscribe if you did enjoy this video. I really would appreciate it. And of course, why not check out this video that YouTube is popping up on the screen right now? It seems to think you'll quite like it, so go give it a try. And well, other than that, bye.